Hello and welcome to the Victorious Living Solutions Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Nikeya Young, and it is Thanksgiving week. We are at Thanksgiving Eve. So, welcome. The title of today's show, and this is season 7. The theme for this season is Get Your Mind Right. And one of the ways we're going to get our mind right is the title of today's show, Joy, an Act of Rebellion. Joy, an act of rebellion. Now, let's get into it. So, got my notes here. I know I like to use my trusty yellow notepad, but I got some bigger paper here today. And you guys might be thinking, why did she use the word rebellion? So the definition of rebellion is an act of violent or open resistance to an established government or ruler. And it's like, that seems like a strange word to use in conjunction with joy. But is it really all that strange? Okay, so now we're getting ready for Thanksgiving, and tomorrow is the day that besides eating some delicious home-cooked meals, we get around the table and we talk about what we're thankful for. We're just in a season of reflection and gratitude about things that we're grateful for, we're thankful for, okay? And it's usually a really happy time. But I want us to take that energy way past Thanksgiving Day. I want you to still have that same joy on Friday and Saturday and Sunday and throughout the holiday season. And I want you to take that joy on with you into 2025, okay? And beyond. And the reason that's such a act of rebellion is because, child, listen, we'll get into it a little later, but there's a lot contending for our joy. The Bible tells us that in Nehemiah chapter 8, verse 10, the joy of the Lord is our strength. The joy of the Lord is our strength. So naturally, Satan doesn't want us to have joy because he doesn't want us to be strong. We're a lot easier for him to defeat if we don't have the joy of the Lord. And so that is why there are so many things contending and warring against us to rob us of our joy and our peace. So let's talk about some challenges, just a few of those things that are contending to rob us of our peace and our joy during this season. Economic hard times and inflation. It's hard to get into the joyous mood when you went to go purchase your Thanksgiving groceries to start preparing your meals and had to pay twice as much for everything as you did last year. Increase in political tension and bickering. Okay, just go ahead and let the family know in the group chat right now. Do not bring up anything about politics at mealtime. Just don't do that. It's a good way to end the gathering before it gets started. And then just the news cycle. It doesn't take long. I mean, you can scroll social media for 90 seconds and come across something that just siphons the air out of your joy balloon immediately. There's so much negativity around us, and that impacts us, and that can cause us to really have a hard time finding a reason to have any joy. But then there's another thing that contends for our joy during this season that we're in, and that is seasonal affect disorder. Seasonal affect disorder is a real thing, okay? And so the Mayo Clinic defines seasonal affect disorder as a type of depression that's related to changes in seasons. It begins and ends at about the same times each year, and that's usually the October, November, and then it lasts through spring. Now, Chicago and some of the places, if you live in places like I don't know, Seattle or anywhere where the weather is tripping for an extended period of time, your seasonal affect disorder may last a little longer. I feel like Chicago's winter is just dumb long. It be cold outside to like May. It's crazy. You may or may not wake up on Easter Sunday and see snow outside. You just never know what you're gonna get here. It takes us to about end of May, early June to be like, okay, I think it's safe to put my winter clothes away now. It's crazy. It's like, I could put them away now. And then it just randomly snows and you got to humble yourself and go to the basement and get your winter stuff back out. It's crazy. But anyways, let's talk about what the symptoms of seasonal affect disorder are. They include increased irritability, low energy, feeling sad, down most of the day. You may sleep a lot. You may experience weight gain, carb cravings, not really being interested in activities that you used to find joy in. Now you just kind of over it, child. You just like, I don't want to do this, right? So yeah, those are like a lot of the common symptoms of it. And there is literally a medical reason for it. You're not getting the serotonin that you would get from, just having more light. As the time changes and it starts getting dark at like 4:30, that's depressing. So you have less daylight. You're not getting your vitamin D. And that affects your mood. It does. So a lot of the times they say the treatment for that is light. Get outside. Try to get some natural sunlight if you can. Now, I know what you're going to say. You talking about get some sunlight? It's cold outside. Well, I mean, it's cold outside, but you need the sunlight. So you could bundle up and go for a walk around your neighborhood. Or just go for a drive. Like, try to not be enclosed indoors all day, because that's just going to make you more depressed. Find a way to get out, and that'll help you combat that. Another thing is, if you can't get the vitamin D naturally through sunlight, make sure that you are taking vitamin D. I take vitamin D regularly because fall and winter is also cold and flu season, and I don't play about that, baby. I take 5,000 IUs of vitamin D every day. And people of color, you should really be doing this, because our skin, we come from, and our ancestry, we come from climates that are hot, that get sun a lot, right? And so when we don't get enough sun, it really impacts us negatively, because we need that. Like, our bodies really require that. And it can make you susceptible to a lot of illnesses when you don't get your vitamin D. And actually, I know you guys probably recall back during the pandemic, African Americans were being stricken with COVID. It was impacting us worse than it was impacting people of other races. And they couldn't figure out why at first. It was because we tend to be more vitamin D deficient. And that's African Americans, because we're not getting the amount of vitamin D that our melanated cells require. So because we weren't getting the vitamin D that we should, we were at a deficit. Our bodies weren't able to fight off the illness as quickly. That was one of the reasons, and pre-existing conditions and all the other stuff. So just everybody, I don't care what color you are, baby, get your vitamin D. If you can't sit in the sun, take some vitamin D, okay? Because we naturally are not out and about as much as we are in the summer, and you don't want to be at a deficit. Going on through my notes. So now, we got all of this stuff going on. I just told you what is competing or contending to rob us of our joy from the moment we open our eyes to the moment we close them. So we have to be actively combating these things. That's why I chose the title, An Act of Rebellion. That is what you're rebelling. You are getting up, facing all of these forces and just anything else the devil can think of to throw in the kitchen sink with all of that other stuff that I just mentioned. And so you have to just wake up and say, not today, Satan. Not today. The only way you can have my joy is if I give it to you, and I'm not going to give it to you. You can't win, okay? You can't win. What was that, The Wiz? You can't win, okay? You can't win, devil. You're not finna do this. So you have to determine that you are going to find reasons to be happy each and every day. Okay, I'm about to date myself, all right? You new people, you Gen Zers, y'all won't remember this, but I will say millennials and Gen Xers, there was a show back in the day called Ally McBeal. I used to love that show. And she was an attorney, and it was, they would take you through all the drama of her workday and solving cases and stuff. But it was really hilarious, and they would do this thing where they would something would be happening, and they would show you inside her mind what she was thinking, and she would combat stress by either going and having a private dance break by herself, or if she couldn't do that, she would imagine, baby, do you remember this? It was the Ooga Chaka baby. She would imagine a baby in her head, and it was like this bald baby, and it would just be doing Ooga Chaka, Ooga, Ooga, Ooga Chaka. And it sounds silly, like it was so random. And so Ally McBeal, if you watch the show or you remember the show, but that was her coping mechanism. It's kind of hard to be pissed off if you're conjuring up images of a silly dancing Ooga Chaka baby in your head. Or if, she would just be like, I'm going to find some kind of way, because the kinds of stuff that she had to deal with as an attorney, it's like, if I don't find some kind of way to choose some joy here, I'm going to lose my mind. And the Ooga Chaka baby would usually appear right at her breaking point, where some case or some coworker or some boyfriend drama or something was just about to send her to the moon. And she would find a way to get to her happy place. So that's just a bit of a humorous example, but do what you need to do, okay, to find your joy. I love, and I talk about this all the time on here, so if I sound like a broken record, oh well, faith comes by hearing, and hearing by the word of God. So, okay. I love to say, get you some scriptures to stand on. I would say, you know what? Oh, this is a good idea. Find you a joy playlist. And I would literally label it, if I were you, in my phone, joy playlist. Okay. I do this sometime. Now, I didn't call it joy playlist, but I found like some songs because music tends to conjure up memories. You remember what you were doing at that time, what times were like back then. And 90s R&B hip hop takes me to a happy place when life was simple and we had dance battles in the cafeteria. And like back in the day, dances were, you broke a sweat. Okay. You really had to put your all into dancing back then. Even if it was just R&B singers, everybody could dance their butt off back in the 90s and 80s. Go back and look it up. But music from that era tends to put me, and even the early 2000s music tends to put me in a happy place. And that's the secular music and the gospel. really the gospel, because I'm a choir girl, okay? I'm a choir girl. And they don't make that music anymore. Like praise and worship teams and everybody basically wanting to be elevation worship has killed the whole era of choirs and the elaborate harmonies that we used to do, and the choreography and the marching in and that whole era. So even if I want to go back and find some gospel pick-me-up music, child, I will pull out some vintage Hezekiah Walker and come on, let's dance, get up with me, move your feet, let's, like stuff like that takes me back to happy memories of being in the DePaul Gospel Choir and being in the St. Luke Youth Choir, or just being in my high school show choir singing gospel tunes. I'm not going to be in a bad mood for long listening to that. And plus, the lyrics of those songs are going to be about God, and so be scripturally based. So that's going to give me the pick-me-up that I need. Find it, because you're rebelling against the negative energy or the negative feelings, the depressing feelings that the devil is trying to keep you in. Let me tell you, the worst thing you can do when you are feeling pissed off, angry, full of anxiety is to play some music, find a TV show or some music that matches your mood. Like, no, why would you do that? Oh my God, I'm so pissed off today. I'm finna play Wu-Tang. No, that's finna make you want to go rob a bank or fight somebody. You're trying to find a way to get out of the negative mood, not go further into it, right? Don't watch horror movies if you're not feeling, just this is common sense stuff. Y'all know what it is. So yeah. Rebel. We must resist the urge to be caught up in the cares of this world. Resist the urges. And I'm talking to y'all, but I'm also talking to me. I am a winter baby. I'm literally born in January. And my birthday is like the end of January. So it's like literally the time of year where the snow is the worst. Chicago typically gets its worst snowstorm of the season right around the week of my birthday, going into that first week of February. It's usually like snowmageddon, blizzard, it's 2 feet of snow outside. Like, talk about depressing, right? I don't like being cold. I don't. Like, for somebody who does not like being cold as much as I hate being cold, and is like, to be born smack dab in the middle of winter is crazy. So I have to do this little joy rebellion exercise every year when my birthday rolls around and I'm not able to be on a sunny beach somewhere. And I want to go out and hang out with my friends, but I'm like, I already know ain't nobody finna come out in this weather. So what fun activity can I do in the house? I have to make a choice. I'm not going to let this weather cause me to not be grateful for seeing another year. Everybody, like, don't take birthdays for granted. Don't take any day for granted. People are getting out of here left and right. Don't take for granted that you gotta open your eyes every day. You don't. It's a blessing. Thank God for it, right? Find the joy in it. And then even with being a mom, we love our kids, and you can always find joy in your kids because kids are hilarious. They're constantly doing something goofy to make you laugh. But motherhood can also be very draining at times, and you may have to contend. I'm not even going to say may. You will have to contend with feelings of overwhelm and just being like, devil, I'm not going to let you take the joy out of motherhood for me. I'm having a rough day right now. The kids is getting on my nerves right now. I may want to put them in a box and ship them off to their grandparents or some doggone where right now. But I'm going to laugh it off and I'm going to choose joy. I'm going to rebel against feelings of frustration and everything else. And I'm going to thank God for my kids, right? So those are some ways that you can do an act of rebellion and just smack the devil upside his head when he's trying to cause you to not have joy, because you need that. That's your strength. That's going to be your fight. You can't do the things that God has called you to do if you're fighting waves. Like if you just imagine ocean waves coming over your head, that's what this feeling of overwhelm and anxiety and this depression can feel like. And these are some practical tips that I'm giving you to combat it. But sometimes everything I just told you is not enough. Sometimes you may feel so hopeless that you need to seek some professional help. Okay. And so don't be afraid to do that. If you try every coping mechanism that you know to try and it is not helping and you are feeling suicidal or you are feeling hopeless or you can't get yourself out of this, then go see the lady. Okay. Go see the lady is I dated myself again. That's what we old people say. Like, child, you need to go see the lady. That just means go to a therapist, y'all. Find you a therapist and get in a chair, okay? And talk it out. Some people who have extreme depression, it may get to the point where they may have to be prescribed something. No shame in it. Do what you need to do to get to where you need to be. Don't pretend like you're okay if you're not. Okay. And sometimes this time of year can even be tough for some people because it's the holidays and people who are single or people who have toxic relatives or people who have lost loved ones and are grieving for whatever the reason can find this time of year really depressing. Because it's a time of year where everyone's gathering and it's this big love fest and all of the movies are all hallmarky and everybody's all booed up and everybody's happy. And it can just amplify how alone you're feeling or how much you miss someone who has passed on. Those are real feelings. And so you can combat those feelings. You can be honest. And, if you feel sad, you feel sad, but you can combat the feeling of just staying there and letting the sadness overtake you by, if you've lost someone, remembering happy things about that person, taking those pictures out, looking at them, thinking about something funny that they've said. And I do this every year, you guys, because as many of you know, I lost my mother when I was 14 years old. And I'm in my mid 40s now. And it's still really hard around this time of year, particularly because her birthday is right after Christmas. Right after Christmas. I remember for a long time after she passed, I did not like Christmas. I was like every Lifetime movie you can think of where there's a character that is like, bah humbug, bah humbug, I hate Christmas. And then, they spend the whole movie trying to get the person to like Christmas again. I was that person for a while because I didn't have my mom. And that's a natural feeling. So I'm telling you, if I still struggle with it and my mom has been gone for well over 20 years, don't let the devil or anybody else try to make you feel like if it's been a long time, it's like, oh, she's still talking about that. Like she needs to get over that. Some losses you never really get over. You just find ways to get through it. And that's real. You know, most days you could be totally okay. And then something, a memory or seeing somebody else, that reminds you of the person can just trigger you. And you have to choose joy as an act of rebellion. Like, wow, I missed the person. Go ahead and acknowledge that you missed the person. But then think of the happy times. I have so many happy times that I think of when I think of my mom. I see her in my kids so much. My son looks just like her. My daughter, my youngest, I'm saying my youngest, the twins are 1 minute apart. But one of my twins looks a lot like her and has her mannerisms. The other twin has more of her playful side. My mother was a Sunday school teacher. She could pray fire down from heaven. But my mama was also goofy. Man, people who knew her. She may seem quiet and introverted, but once you got to know her, that woman was a hoot. She would do impressions of people that were so spot on. Like, she was just hilarious. All of my cousins will tell you growing up, she was their favorite auntie. She was like Black Mary Poppins. So thinking of memories like that and talking to other family members who knew her, like, oh, remember when she did this? Oh, remember when she did that? That kind of stuff helps me get through the holiday season of missing her. And having kids now, they love Christmas as much as she did. My mama was pretty much a elf. Like, she loved Christmas down, honey. So she always made sure the house was decorated nice. Like, when you walked into our place, the smell of Christmas was in the air. And so I am now a mom, and I get to try to create those same kinds of memories for my kids, So those are just some things, just some tips to kind of help you launch an active rebellion of choosing joy. Tune out negative noise. That's another tip that I have. So if you think of negative noise as like a faucet, what are some of the things that are a faucet that's dripping negativity into your day? Social media could be one. Limit your time on there. The media right now, this was a very unusually contentious and exhausting election season. Election seasons are never fun, but this one was so high stakes and people just got so crazy that I think that we've all, if we're being honest, we've all just kind of subconsciously been walking around with clenched butt cheeks and just like trying to see which way this election was gonna go. And I don't even think a lot of us realized that we were like this until the election came and went. And then it's just like, and some people still haven't gotten to the part. Some people are still because it didn't go the way that they hoped it would go. Listen, don't give anything or anyone the power to steal your joy, especially not a politician. Okay? As kingdom citizens, we vote, we do our due diligence, but our trust is never in man. You can go back to the episodes that we just did a few weeks ago on election season and stuff and get a little refresher if you need to. But we're not making flesh our arm. We're not putting all our trust in man. And so, those are things to remind yourself of if that you start to feel yourself getting frustrated by things that politicians are doing. Turn that faucet off. Tune it out. Okay? All right, y'all. That is all that I have. I hope that you all have a blessed and happy Thanksgiving. And tell your friends, say, hey, I'm about to start a joy rebellion. Let's, hold me accountable. Ask your kids to hold you accountable for finding joy in each and every day. They will love it. If you ask your kids for help with this, they'll be like, okay, I got you, mommy. So do whatever you can and resist the negativity. All right, y'all. Now, before I get off of here, I have some good news. We are going to do a Black Friday sale. Black Friday on our Command Your 24 online course. So go ahead and go to commandyour24.com to see the special / discount price of this 8-week course that is phenomenal. It's just what you need to get in gear for 2025 and to finish 2024 out strong. So go ahead and get that information and act today. It's going to be in effect from now through, we're going to leave it up until midnight on Cyber Monday. So that is all that I have for you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in and keep living victoriously. Happy Thanksgiving and bye, everybody.